Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. We are continuing this season preview series today as we take a look at the potential identity crisis of the Nashville Predators going into the 2021-2022 NHL season, and if I think they can make the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's part of the identity crisis, so we'll be getting into that right now. So, as we do with all these season preview videos, let's take a look at some of the subtractions from the Nashville Predators this offseason. Victor Arvidsson was traded to the Los Angeles Kings for a couple of draft picks. He didn't have a great season in Nashville anyway last year, and it just seemed like that was destined for a divorce. So Victor Arvidsson heads to the Los Angeles Kings. Kalle Järnkrok was picked off in the expansion draft, another guy heading to the Pacific Division in Seattle. And Pekka Rinne, the goaltender, retired. So now the net officially goes to the heir to the throne of Pekka Rinne in UC Saros. But they need another goaltender. We'll get to that now. That's one of the additions. So we're going to go to some of the moves that some of the guys they added. Matt Luff comes in from the LA Kings. Kind of a nice power forward guy to add a little bit of grit to your lineup, and will kind of replace a guy like Kalle Järnkrok. He adds a little more size, a little bit more of a power forward, which I think is maybe a little bit of a different direction than Järnkrok, but still another addition. Philip Myers, a guy that will definitely fit under the regime there in, not New Jersey, in Nashville, as their head coach and their management kind of likes these gritty-esque players. And that was the theme of the offseason for the Nashville Predators. Adding guys that add a little bit more grit to their team. And that definitely fits the mold of what they're trying to create in Nashville right now. I keep forgetting his name. He was in Jersey. John Hynes. Thank you. John Hynes definitely had some influence on these decisions, as well as Mark Borowiecki, who comes over from the Ottawa Senators. So Luff, Myers, and Borowiecki, they're all over 6'2". I know that at minimum that they are all that big. They're big boys that add to the lineup. And who replaces Pekka Rinne? Well, not necessarily the replacement to Pekka Rinne, but he's going to fill out the role as the 1B behind UC Saros, and that is David Rittich, who last season was... he wasn't with the Calgary Flames, was he? He was somewhere else. But David Rittich now is a member of the Nashville Predators, so just add some goaltending depth to that team. That's really what that's all about there. So let's look. They have $12.7 million in cap space. Jeez Louise. And then looking at some of their guys, their top point producers last season: Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Kalle Järnkrok, who is no longer there, Mikael Granlund, Victor Arvidsson, Mattias Ekholm, Eeli Tolvanen. A bunch of those guys are gone. Järnkrok, gone through expansion. Arvidsson, traded. Ryan Ellis, also traded. So this is going to be a different looking team. Eric Howla left in free agency. So those are some of your top point producers. They're no longer going to be there this year. So they're going to be relying on goal scoring from some of their different players throughout the organization. Now looking at the line combinations, you got Philip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson, and Eeli Tolvanen. And then the second line, Granlund, Duchesne, and Luke Cunnin. All three of those guys can play center. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. On the third line, you've got Nick Cousins, Cody Glass, who they acquired from Vegas in that three-way deal, Nolan Patrick, Ryan Ellis, Cody Glass, and Philip Tomasino, who is a former first-round pick from the Niagara Ice Dogs. So interesting there. Then the fourth line, you have Yakov Trenin, Colton Sissons, and Matthew Olivier. That's a pretty interesting lineup there, but probably lacking depth. That's really one of the things I see here with the Predators, but that's what they're going with. Defense, you got Roman Josi, Philip Myers, Mattias Ekholm, Alex Carrier, as well as Mark Borowiecki and Dante Fabro. So we're definitely seeing them rely on some different players, because Carrier really showed himself last season. He really kind of came onto the scene, and it's kind of taken away a spot from Dante Fabro, which I think is interesting. But Carrier really had a great season. Philip Myers is the good shutdown pairing defenseman alongside Josi. And I think Ekholm and Carrier worked really well last year. Borowiecki, kind of a good shutdown guy with Dante Fabro. And obviously Fabro won't, he can maybe skate with a little more poise knowing that big Borowiecki, what do they call him, Boro Cop or something like that. he'll be right there to protect them. And then you got goaltending. You got UC Saros and David Rittich. So a pretty good goaltending tandem going into next year, I have to say. And then looking at their depth, guys I didn't mention in terms of forwards, you got Ili Tolvanen, who still has to sign a contract. Rocco Grimaldi. Looking at the depth chart, you have guys like Patrick Harper, Zach Leheyu, who they picked up in the expansion or through the draft this year. I think that's pretty much it. Michael McCarron's still there. And then looking at the defense, you have guys like David Ference, Alex Carrier, like I mentioned. And then goaltending, it looks a little different. You have Connor Ingram, who is really the guy you're probably looking at going into next year as a third goaltender for the Nashville Predators. And that's pretty much it. So the question is here, because now we're hearing rumors that they want to re-sign Philip Forsberg and Matthias Ekholm. And the question that maybe Predators fans are asking is, they're a little bit puzzled because, of course, they love Philip Forsberg and Matthias Ekholm, but are they going to be there long term? Because in the Predators right now, it's almost like David Poile doesn't want to close the window right now. And it's one of those things where, do you decide that maybe it's time to blow it up and let some of the young guys play, or do you want the young guys to take the role from the players that are already there? And I think that's the mindset for David Poile, and I agree with that, because the problem is, let's say right now, they trade Philip Forsberg and Matthias Ekholm, right? They're gone. And you get prospects and whatever. Now the problem is, you don't know, what if Alex Carrier doesn't have another great season? You know, like, what if Dante Fabro has another bad year? So they're going to rely on the guys that are already there. And once it gets to a point where they take the role from those players, the young guys take the role from the older players, then they'll do that. But until then, David Poile's not going to rush to trade guys that are already there, established, and honestly have more value, and you already know what you have in them, than the prospects that you don't know what they are. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Nashville Predators going into next season? I don't see them making the playoffs in that Central Division. I think that Central Division got a lot better this year. I think Dallas is going to be back. Chicago is going to be back. St. Louis, I think, is on the downspin, but I think they're going to be around the same territory as Nashville. And they still have Tarasenko. They still have Binnington. They still have O'Reilly. Where are those guys in Nashville? Because I just don't really see that in that team. So I hate to say it, they're going to miss the playoffs next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a bottom 10, bottom 5 team in the NHL. But the wild card is UC Saros. If he stands on his head like he did last season, the Nashville Predators will always have a chance if Saros plays the way he did last year. So let me know what you guys think. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.